Welcome back, everyone. Get 100 back with another video for you guys today. I'm sorry it took me a few hours to get this other part out, but here we are, All for One Villain AU Part 3. So, with that being said, let's just get into it. This is an interesting story I got for you guys. I wanted to make it good enough that way you guys would like it, and that way the villain AU and the hero AU would be on the same equal of par. I know the hero AU just might get more love than the villain AU, but you know what? I'm giving the villain AU a much more interesting story than so that way you guys might actually be interested in where this might go. So enough with the talking, let's get straight into it. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Cue the intro. Last time we had left off, Deku had won the sports festival, and also he cheated All Might out of getting one. For all, he acted quirkless to have the power. So, I mean, but still, he has won the sports festival now. So now we get to move on into much future arcs, which is now the internship arc. Deku had chose the name All for All because he'll be using all of his power for everyone on his side. Deku truly does care for every person that is working with him, like Shigaraki. All for One cares for no one. And for Deku, that serves no purpose in his ideal world. All for One wants the world for himself to bend to his will, to be the demon lord. But for Izuku, that serves no purpose in his ideal world. He's talked to Tenko, and they both share the same ideals. All for One shares something completely different. So that has no ideal world for him. He'll try to convince his father otherwise, but if he can't, then he has his own plans and set in motion for it. So, internship. I'm gonna keep it the same, and I'm gonna go for Deku actually does go to Gran Torino because to get more schooling upon One for All, and All for One is still monitoring everything that he does. So, honestly, I'm keeping it relatively canon to how Gran Torino teaches Izuku. But, you know, Izuku already knows to use the power all over his body, so he's been doing that. But Gran Torino is just teaching him how to be a bit faster with it. I don't know, their training can go the same, but, you know, it's just a lot simpler. So, eventually, yes, the Nomus do attack Stain arc. And, Deku does go off, like usual, and he has to defeat Stain this way. So he does protect Ida, and Deku puts up that whole hero front stick and gets Stain to like spare his life. But Deku does try a lot harder to save Ida's life because, you know, Ida is a worthy hero in Deku's eyes. So, okay, crazy enough, Ida does get knocked out by Stain eventually, because Deku doesn't call for help in this one. So when Ida does eventually get back up, Stain is able to knock him out and knock out Native. So eventually with this, Deku is able to go all out without having to really worry about anybody seeing his true abilities. So with this being said, Stain was overpowered very easily, and with that being said, Izuku was able to bring him back to All for One's base and asking his father what should he do. And Stain said he won't join in no matter what. So Izuku ends up taking his quirk and killing, and All for One finishes off Stain. Yeah, Stain is out of the picture for good in this one. So Izuku ends up going back, and All for One is saying he should take Ida's quirk, but Deku would just say no. He's going to let him keep it because he doesn't know how strong the quirk can actually get yet. So with that being said, he wants to see Ida develop this quirk more and see if it's actually worthy to take later on. All for One allows it. So with that being said, the Stain arc is pretty much done. When Ida and Native wake up, they ask what happened, and Deku would just say Stain ran away when when Deku started to when he realized that Deku had called for help. So Stain had fled, but little did they know he's actually dead. Alright, now we can move on into the teachers versus students in this one. Wow, this is a lot shorter than my Hero AU. Hero AU, you can do a lot of it, but Villain AU, I'm just keeping it on the straightforward and straight and narrow. But I do want to keep it interesting for you all, so I have a plan for this one. So this is the plan, and the teachers versus students is pretty straightforward. Deku can only use one for all in this situation, and he has to put up that shy boy front attitude because of Bakugo, but underneath is a freaking darker scowl. Oh, a dark smirk under everything. So, okay, Deku and Bakugo versus All Might in this one. Honestly, I'm gonna say that fight stays canon. They both are straight up getting overpowered here, because Deku's one for all usage is not that great. But on the other side, you know, All Might is literally beating the crap out of them. And you guys might be wondering, what's happening to the one for all vestiges in here? Well, since Deku has one for all, oh lord, it's pretty sad what happened to the vestiges. But let me explain it like this. So, when Deku had gotten the power, he went back to All For One, and All For One basically did the same thing Shigaraki did in the manga. Yeah, because we have that right now. All For One had taken, like, the attributes of the quirks from the One For All, but Izuku got to keep everything except for the first user. So, All For One literally extracted his brother from One For All, just to be able to have him on a leash again. Now, Izuku didn't care about that, but seeing that everything was only seen as property to his father, he realized that his father was, well, a nuisance in the plan, was like a hindrance in the plan more than just a cooperative ally. So he had developed plans of his own. So anyway, teacher versus student, yeah, that thing would go the same. Oh yeah, also Deku also has a force quirk activation, so he's forcing the other vestiges of One For All to give him their power. So Deku forcibly has their quirks, and he's making them activate. So he has all of that there. It's utterly ridiculous. Alright, now we move on into the forest training camp. Honestly, I'm going to keep that relatively canon because there really isn't much I can switch around here. I'm not giving Deku a ship in the villain AU. Hero AU I can give something, but in this one I'm just saying, nah, he's got no alliance with anybody. Man does straight up whatever the fuck he wants to do. So in the villain AU there is no ship. But yeah, for the forest training camp, I'm gonna keep that relatively canon. They meet the wild pussycats, they get dropped into the forest, do that training, and they come out. Deku meets Koda, but okay, thankfully I can just say this, Koda misses, because Deku is a lot faster and a lot more experienced than him. He can tell when a kid's about to punch him, or maybe he might not walk up to Koda at all. He might mind his own business. You know what? Yeah, that's exactly what he does. He minds his own business. Okay, so finally, when Class 1B there, that whole scare tactic thing goes down, and the villains still do attack in the forest. So okay, Deku goes up to, because Mandalay told him to ask him to go get Koda, and Muscular is up there. Now, Deku never really liked Muscular at all. He's always such a wild card, and he never listens to orders. He does what he wants. And Deku, if you're useful to Deku, he'll keep you around. But if you're nothing but a hindrance and a nuisance in his plans, then he'll just get rid of you and take whatever he wants from you. And Muscular is just too wild, too uncontrollable. So he's not fit to be in their empire. Well, in his new world, his new era. So, with that being said, Deku would walk up. Deku would tell Koda to just run down the mountain, and he'll catch up with him later. As Muscular would try to fight Deku because he's not the boss, but we all know how that's gonna work out. Muscular would just end up getting killed and his quirk being taken away, still getting the blue muscle fibers and everything. If I killed Muscular in any earlier part, I'm sorry. Well, this is it now. So, with that being said, we're going down into the forest now. Deku takes Koda back to Mandalay, and now we can get back into the regular forest training. So they were here for Bakugo because Deku was already on their side. So with Deku very little helping the heroes at all, they actually do succeed in capturing Bakugo. And just because Deku fakes being captured as well, being taken away. So All For One ends up making like a fake, well, Deku ends up being there to like sell the shtick that he's also on the hero side. And Shigaraki ends up asking, Midori and Bakugo, will they join the League of Villains? And Deku just says never. And Bakugo, says the same, fuck you, all that type of attitude. So thankfully they end up letting Deku and Bakugo go, but Deku has to hold Bakugo back from attacking them because there ain't much they can do. They're literally surrounded. Until the classic, hello? Got a pizza delivery here. Wait, what the? And Deku said in his head, this wasn't part of the plan. Smash! As All Might breaks through the goddamn wall, and that whole escape plan kind of gets fucked. Deku doesn't want his teammates to be captured, but thankfully his father had a contingency plan for this. He ends up using that silver goop type of quirk to teleport them to a different place, including Deku and Bakugo. Now, this was his chance here, as they did get out, but not without some risk factor. So All For One ends up sending the villains away, obviously with not Midoriya, because it can't be revealed that he's a traitor just yet. It's going to get revealed, but not yet. Oh man, this video is only 10 minutes. God dang, I don't really want to shoot too far ahead because of what I got planned, but then again, I know you guys do want to hear this what if, so you know what, I'm gonna keep it going. I know it may go past the point, but you know what, it has to be done. So with that being said, okay, when All Might does arrive at the fight and the fated clash between All For One and All Might does go down, Deku and Bakugo do end up getting saved by the classmates in the usual, so now All Might can go all out, or so he thinks. But this was just this is just Deku's contingency plan here. He has to do this here. So Deku, just like All For One, makes a clone to basically slip away into the crowd, and he ends up going right back to the battlefield, but not into the field itself. He's in the back. He's very far behind the buildings, and he's watching the fight go down. So with this being said here it comes. He watches the fight play out as it does in canon. But before the United States of Smash, Deku looks at All For One with binoculars, and he raises his hand up, and the red lightning surrounds his body. As All For One is stripped of all of his quirks, and he's left with absolutely nothing. He's wondering what the heck is going on as he realizes that his quirks are shut down. And they're completely gone. And he thinks they might have brought Eraserhead onto the scene. Now this makes the fight dangerous, but little did he know his own son just signed his death warrant. As All Might comes at All For One with the United States of Smash and punches All For One directly in the face, with his absolutely zero defense on him and no way to put his guard up, All For One is killed, with Izuku effectively signing his death warrant there, and is saying, "Goodbye, I'm sorry, father, but you're too unpredictable, and and the ways of the old is not fit to be in my new era." Now, you guys might be thinking, why did Izuku do this? Why did he betray his father? Like I said before, Izuku and Shigaraki talked about their ideals, and pretty much they did match up to a singular point. All For One basically wanted the world to himself because he thought he was entitled to it because he wanted to be the Demon Lord, where his evil is basically law. But Izuku and Shigaraki wants to make a home for the villains and for the civilians and for the heroes. Not everybody can just be put down. But they both want nothing to do with what bad shit that they came from. So it's best to just tear it all down and to start from scratch. And the ways of the old cannot fit within the new era. So Izuku effectively had to erase had to completely get rid of his father for that to work. Effectively signing his death warrant and letting him be killed by All Might was the best thing that he could do for him. Giving him the long-awaited mercy he so needed, because he was already fucked up beyond repair. What could he do in this new era? All Might and All for One were slowly on the decline. They both lived for hundreds of years. And Izuku had tried to convince him that he doesn't need to control the world, he just needs to be one with it. But no. All Might wanted to control the world, while Izuku just wants to be one with the world. Well, fine then. I guess this had to be done the hard way. Effectively erasing All for One from his plan completely. Killing his father. And completely going off into his own plans. As now, it's their turn. Alright, it's like been 15 minutes. I got 15 more minutes. Alright, fine, we're moving on into the Overhaul arc now. God dang, I'm going even faster in the villain AU than I'm doing in the hero. Alright, screw it then. So, All for One is dead, and now, with it being done here, the villains straight up went into hiding. After, like, the dorm system is put in motion, Izuku has to make a fake Hasashi Midoriya clone to basically function as his father. So, wait, no. They're grown. Wait, no. They're not. They're like 19. They're grown-ups at this point. So they only have to ask for Izuku's consent. He said he took it up with his parents, and they accepted. So Izuku accepts being in the dorm system. But now so now while he moves into the dorms at nighttime, he teleports into the League of Villains base, and he consoles Shigaraki, Tenko. Like, wait, no. Ooh, Tomura. Tenko, you okay? And Tenko just shakes his head no. His master / father figure is gone. And Deku puts a hand on his shoulder saying it'll be okay. He left his will behind and everything. Now, it's our turn. As Deku shows like the little black tendrils that All for One has. Just like you, Tenko, he left me with his will. Now, it's time to go with his backup plan. Are you sure? You have his quirk, so I don't think there's a need for me to... Tenko, do it. As basically, Izuku calls the doctor, and they're going to move forward with the All for One plan on Shigaraki. So, with this being said, that plan is going to be set in motion while Izuku sets up meeting plans with Overhaul. Now, this here is going to be a really big game changer. They're going to have all the firepower that they need. So, with that being said, okay, as long as moving into the dorms, they do meet, okay, meeting the big three is not exactly too hard. So, okay, cutting back to UA's problems because the villains are going to be, Shigaraki's going to be focused on the All for One turnover plan. So, with that being said, everything will be alright. So, but Izuku switched it up a little bit, and let me explain. Well, after the UA sequence. So, afterward, in UA, they do meet the big three, Mirio, Nejire, and Tamaki. Basically, they all do fight Mirio, but in this one, Deku actually ends up winning because he trained harder for All Might in this situation. Even though All Might said All for One is gone, the League of Villains are still out there, and they need to be brought to justice. Izuku brought that to heart, so basically, he skyrocketed his percentage up to, what was it? I think it would be like 10% or 8 or 12. But at this point, Izuku straight up shot up to 25%, and All Might was proud. So with that 25%, Izuku was able to defeat Mirio, crowning him the second strongest in the school. And we already know who is the strongest. That's Tamaki. So, okay, time for the Overhaul arc. So, this is exactly what would happen. The League of Villains meeting, it wouldn't be Shigaraki because he's in that All for One test tube type of thing. They're doing it very early on because they want to make sure that Shigaraki has full acceptance and it wasn't really rushed like it was in the actual anime. So, Izuku was the one to meet Overhaul at that, warehouse instead of Shigaraki. So, taking Toga, Dabi twice, Mr. Compress, all the other villains with him, crazy enough, the meeting actually does go very well, so nobody ends up dying here. But Izuku still, Izuku also had on, like, All for One's, like, mask, by the way, to not show his face, because his face is everywhere on the, fucking hero side, so it's best to keep that concealed for right now. Yeah, neat. Alright, anyway, with that being said, now onto the hero side of things. Deku does still intern under Night Eye, and during the stamp type of thing, Izuku is able to instantly get it from Night Eye, being a lot faster than he is in the canon story. So he stamps himself. Mirio and Izuku go on that little patrol thing about, you know, their hero names. Lemillion, can't save them all, but I can at least go for a million. And all for all. And Izuku explained that he's going to be using all of his power for everyone. That's a good way of seeing it. It kind of almost sounds like that villain All for One. Deku just says, yeah, but he's gone now, so let's not worry about that. Until Deku had gotten a bump into his leg. And as we know, this is Eri. As Eri is, as Deku just says, oh, my bad, sorry, small, like, oh, I'm sorry, small one. You took quite a tumble there. Here, let me help you. As he starts to pick up Eri, as she's shaking, and Izuku's wondering why, and he sees Overhaul come out. And Deku was able to read Overhaul's mind. He knows the type of bullshit Overhaul is plotting on Eri, but now he has Eri here. But like I said, Deku doesn't have, like I said in my New Order part 2, Deku doesn't have any evidence to do anything against Overhaul. Even though it's pretty cut and dry that he does, he can't really expose that without, you know, posing any of the threats or without his identity getting exposed. So reluctantly, he reads Eri's mind and reads all the torture she's gone through. And Deku just says in her ear, he gives her a warm smile and says, don't worry, small one. I will come back and save you one day. Lots of heroes in this world won't try to do anything, but I will be your hero. I will save you. Go back with him for now, small one. But I promise you, I will save you. So, as that happens, Eri does end up going back with Overhaul, and she really hopes that Deku does end up saving her. Which he does, because they go report back to Night Eye what just happened. So the literal Chiha Saikai raid does still exactly happen on the hero side, thankfully. But Eri isn't there, because they've been planning it for a few days. Deku had went back and taken Eri from Overhaul's base, and sneaking Eri out, effectively saving her, and Eri thanking Izuku for actually helping her because he said he would come back, while Mirio just left her there to just go back to that horrible man. So Eri actually isn't in Overhaul's base. Deku had already stolen Eri with the Quark erasing bullets. So when they do the Chiha Saikai raid, it pretty much goes what would be canon if Eri wasn't there. So Mirio can just focus on the fight at hand without having to worry about his quirk. And Overhaul has been wondering where has Eri been for the past few days, while the heroes just think Eri is in a hidden room somewhere. But that's not the case, because we know Deku already had saved her already. So with that being said, okay, on the bright side is Mirio doesn't lose his quirk here, but Deku, seeing how useful Overhaul's quirk is and being able to actually scan him, he ends up Mirio, he has to go off and defeat the other goons. Deku ends up taking Overhaul's quirk and effectively killing him right then and there. Deku would just say Overhaul died in the collateral damage, because thankfully Deku's hero costume consists of him wearing gloves. So Deku ends up collapsing the whole base, killing a lot of people within there. But Twice and Toga end up escaping because Izuku had an escape route planned for them. But Izuku does end up taking some of the goons' quirks, like forcibly telling the truth, that goon, and actively shaping the inside of the building. He took that villain's quirk too, and especially Rappa's, considering he can hit very very hard. Oh, also he took that villain's quirk with the shield that could put up a force field and everything. Yeah, he took a lot of quirks in that one. My god, it's unbelievable what he did, and Deku collapsed the building and killed all of them to make sure that they couldn't, say anything or snitch on him. And yeah, he made sure they were dead. Like, after mutilating their body, he collapsed, like, parts of the building and the room on them. So, there is no one to tell the story of what Deku actually is, or who he is, or what he had became. Alright, so this is great. So after the Overhaul arc, what is next? It would be like the gentle criminal thing, but I don't really feel like doing that. It would just be, okay, the school festival thing would still go on, but they still can't find Aerie. But we're now going to cut back to the villain side of things for like the rest of the, yeah, we got like 5 minutes left. So we're going to cut back to the villain side for the rest of the 5 minutes. So on the villain side, everyone is wondering, why did Deku save the kid? And Deku explains her situation. As they say, what are we going to do with her now? Deku just said he's going to take care of her and raise her as his heir. All for One needed an heir, and that was Izuku. And Izuku also wants an heir, and that's going to be Aerie in this situation. Someone who knows the what heroes have done, have so idly watched her and have actively sent her back to that terrible man. So Izuku is going to mold Aerie into his ideal successor. So yeah, Aerie is the next All for One in Izuku's eyes. But Aerie is asking, is Izuku also a bad man? Deku would just say, in the eyes of society, he would be. But he doesn't lie to Aerie. He looks to shape the world into his own image, to where everyone gets to live a happy and normal life. Even the villains of this world. Some people are treated so unfairly due to their quirks, either it looking like it's evil, or due to the negative side effects of their quirks actively having an effect on the user, that they can't control it, or it developing mental like urges or physical urges that they can't control, and it ends up hurting people. So Izuku is going to change that. He's going to tear down this entire world and make it into a fair world where no racism is done against any mutants, because that's the type of community that Spinner comes from, to where no one is judged because of their quirk, and most of all, no more heroes. They're only gonna hold up their point of society. And he tells Aerie, like, when I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to, because they have to justify their wages. That was another reference right there, guys. So if you guys can reference that, then you get a love from me in the comment section down below, please and thank you. Now, with that one, Aerie just said, the world is cruel, isn't it? Yes, it truly is, small one. But Aerie wants to know, what does he call him? And Deku just said, like, his name is Izuku. It's like, so is Izuku. So Aerie just says Papa Izuku, or Papa. It hits Deku right in the feels there, because it reminds him of how he called it, of like his mom back then. He was so kind-hearted. Deku is kind-hearted to like the little kids there, but for like Koda, he didn't really want to get into a situation. But as for someone like Aerie, who was like, Deku read her mind, even the memories she couldn't remember, like her quirk activating and accidentally erasing her father from existence, and her mother selling her toward Overhaul. All of that was straight BS. So Deku's going to take care of Aerie in his own right, raise him as his own daughter. So with that being said, guys, the next thing would be Class 1A versus 1B, and then, okay, Shigaraki's, oh yeah, his All for One transformation would actually be perfect. But Izuku had taken out the mental institute of, All for One within there. So Shigaraki has his own version of All for One, and, well, he has his own set of quirks, thankfully, but his All for One will never be as perfect as Izuku's. Izuku's is just on a whole nother level. So now it's time for the, I'm trying to figure out what next. Class 1A versus 1B, that would happen. The school festival would happen. Oh crap, the Meta Liberation Army, and then we actually do get into the war arc. Yeah, guys, I don't really do the movies too much, so, yeah, guys, you got it there. Dang, so I'm gonna save the Meta Liberation Army for the next, and then the war arc for the next part. Wow, I guess part 4 just might be the final one for All for One Villain Deku AU. Dang, I can't believe we've already reached the end. But okay, I'm saving that. Like I said, I'm saving that for the next part, so I'm gonna have to end it right here, guys. So hope you guys did enjoy this part right here, part 3 as to All for One Villain AU, All for One Deku Villain AU. So you guys know what happened. If you like this video, give it 5 likes, and then time for the finale on the next part. So with that being said, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Peace.
She likes it when I hit, when I tap. Wait, what? Ay, shawty's the same. Now without me, she ain't function. Running out the game, I don't got no time for love. Shawty, stick to your lane. I don't wanna hear you bugging.